breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty. Mornings on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty in studio. Shreveport Police Chief Wayne Smith and Shreveport Police Captain Janice Daly in studio talking about what has become a successful event for Shreveport, Humor and Harmony, and due in a large part because of the work that you guys did for weeks prior to this. Congratulations once again.
Thank you so very much, Captain Daly. I must give the plugs to her. She was the mastermind behind this plan, and without a doubt, she has great talent that makes her uniquely special to handle something of this magnitude.
Janice, I got to ask you, how do you even know how to staff something that you, A, haven't done before, B, you have no clue how many people are showing up? I guess you just have to be over-prepared.
That's part of it. You reach out to other agencies who've done things like this in the past, and you learn from the things that worked for them and the things that didn't work for them. And we have worked things in downtown Shreveport before, and we just kind of pull on our experience and, put it all together.
And you suggested, I assume you guys suggested what streets would be best that we close off. Let's make these walkable so there's not traffic driving up and down. I guess that was your first stop. What are we going to close so that we know we need barricades out first? Is that where you start?
A great traffic plan is a major part of an event, getting people in, getting people out, and the people that are normally traveling through that area to make it as smooth as possible for them to come and go.
Captain Daly, let me ask you, I hate to say this, but you obviously have to prepare for the worst.
Absolutely.
You have to sit at around a table and go, what if we have somebody do A, B, or C? Are we ready for that? How's that conversation go?
Very much like what you just said. If A, B, or C happens, if we have this catastrophic event, what is our plan of action? And then we go from there.
Mm-hmm.
But also on the flip side of that, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. Here's what we're going to do to prevent it.
Correct.
And which is what you guys did. So how did you allocate for that? I mean, what are some of the contingencies that you were looking for?
So one of the things that I was most worried about was something along the Boston Marathon, or when we had a car run through a crowd, because like you mentioned, Aaron, we closed some streets to make them walkable. And so we put barricades in place, and we put officers in place to try to prevent that. We use some of our special teams, our specialty units, to keep a monitor of the people who were down there to kind of let us address if we saw any hot spots or any problems developing, and that worked very well for us.
Did you have the equine unit?
Yes, we did, and technology is a great part of that. Throughout the event, we had in excess of 200 eyes in the sky, cameras that were focused on that area, the downtown area. And in addition to that, drone technology really helped us out. We had drones in the air. We had around 11 or so portable camera trailers that was deployed strategically. We had people in real-time crime center that was their exclusive job, was to watch that area, to recognize potential hazards, pass that on to us so we could prevent anything from happening altogether.
Captain, how many officers were assigned to work Humor and Harmony during the 4 days?
Total? Mm-hmm. If I can only give you an estimate because we've not finished all of that, but we had about 150 plus each night.
Now, was that just SPD, or does that include marshals?
No, that includes all of our partners that worked with us.
Okay,
so it's SPD, it's CATO, it's probation and parole. We even had a few specialized units from state police. So it included
Did y'all
every
reach
law
out to
enforcement.
Did y'all reach out to Bossier and ask for officers from Bossier?
We did not. The partners that normally assist us, who has arrest authority in our jurisdiction, usually they're the first ones we reach out to try to get the resources we need. And throughout this, we were able to find those resources within our jurisdiction.
The cost for these officers, the Shreveport Bossier Advocate's done a great piece putting the estimate, I think they did a public records request, of $500,000 to pay for all these officers that went overtime.
Yes, that sounds about right. One thing that you need to keep in mind, that was not just the 4-day event. That was about 19 or 20 days total, because there's pre-security and a whole lot that goes into it. It's not just the day of the event.
Now, that $500,000 is expected to be paid by G Unit, correct?
That is my understanding.
It's not a city expense.
That is my understanding.
But it has not been paid yet.
That is my understanding.
On a scale of 1 to 10, you're optimistic he's going to pay for it?
Absolutely.
Pretty hopeful?
Absolutely.
Not anticipating any issues with that?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Oh, that's very cool. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't anticipate the history that he's already shown here.
It's been remarkable working with Mr. Jackson and his team. They've been very amicable to our suggestions about securing this event, and I don't anticipate any issues there.
Can y'all stay with us? I want to talk about a couple of incidents that have been reported. I want to see if any of them are true. What's happened? How many arrests were made? That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Captain Janice Daly, Shreveport Police Chief Wayne Smith in studio. Mike and McCarty, 1017 FM, 710keel.com.
Report.
More breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
In studio with Shreveport Police Chief Wayne Smith, Shreveport Police Captain Janice Daly joining us, wrapping up Humor and Harmony. And Aaron, you were talking about, we did hear there had to be some pepper spray. Some people, what did they rush the dome? Is that what happened? They wanted in after it was already full.
There were some minor events that occurred, and we took care of them appropriately at that time, yes.
Arrests? Do you have a number of how many people were arrested?
I think it was an arrest or two. I can't be absolutely certain, because we had 3 or 4 different agencies that was assisting us, had different assignments, and we have not had our recap yet of this entire event to have all the information.
Got word from someone in the city marshal's office that a man in full gear, whatever, with a scope and possible rifle, tried to get in to the basketball event on Friday night, and he was detained and or arrested.
I have no information.
No information about that. No. The DWI arrests, you guys sent out about a dozen or so DWI arrests. How many of them do we know were connected to the Humor and Harmony Festival?
Generally, when they make an arrest, it's not significant to us where the person came from, but I think we can safely say that there were probably some that did evolve from that entertainment district. I can't give you an exact number.
Like what about leaving Mall St. Vincent area after they were shuttled back? Were there any issues from there? Well,
the arrests were made, all over town, so I can't be absolutely certain where from.
Okay. Captain Daly, there have been some questions and concerns about open container, where it was allowed, when it was allowed, and that possibly there was some sort of order from higher-ups in the police department not to enforce the open container laws.
Well, I'm the higher-up in the police department.
You're the guy, okay.
There is no truth to that.
So was open container allowed or not allowed?
It didn't come out of my office not to enforce any of our ordinances or laws.
Did you arrest anybody on open container violations?
Not to my knowledge.
Because you can see the video. They're drinking everywhere.
But I think what's important to remember, Aaron, is that the area that was, for lack of a better description, that we call the entertainment area that was enclosed by the fence was permitted as a festival.
Okay.
And drinking is allowed,
But walking to and from the Red River District and that dome?
It was all inside that fence.
It all was?
Yes, ma'am.
So then that wasn't a violation?
Correct.
So people who are saying that, it's like that's absolutely incorrect information.
Yes, and like Chief just said, he issued no such order, and neither did I, to ignore any violations of law.
You guys I'm sure have had meetings since then. You've assessed things that came up, or you.
Well, the earlier you begin to plan, the better off you are. And now that we've learned from this event, some things that we could probably do better to make things flow a lot smoother. So yes, it was a learning experience for us, and quite frankly, we are looking forward to the very next event.
I'll give you my heads up from hearing from folks. It was the ingress and egress, the traffic. Traffic and parking were probably the two big things that people were complaining about, because when you were going into downtown during the heart of this event, it was gridlock. And I know you don't have enough officers where you can go direct traffic, but I know we closed some streets off, and that may have been a problem too. Should more people have used the parkway? Should we have done something different with regard to traffic?
I'll leave that to Captain Daly.
I understand that it was slow moving, but I can say this, Aaron, from watching it, traffic never stopped moving. What we would encourage is that more people use the shuttle services that were provided. That's why they were provided. Mr. De Niro Washington with Sportran, said he partnered up with the city on that and used the shuttle services, and just be patient. It's like any big event.
Which is the smart thing to do. It's one of the reasons they were set up that way.
My daughter came in from Houston and attended all of the events and rode the shuttles each day, and she said it was remarkable. It was great. That was the best thing that she could ever done. The response and the grade that everybody's given this is really high. Really high, because and I can't even imagine you guys, how you were on the edge of your seat going, please, and as the mayor called, we had a couple of knuckleheads. I'm sure y'all were worried about knuckleheads doing stupid stuff. Absolutely, and that's normal whenever you mix hundreds of thousands of people together and behavior-altering substances, and everyone is having a good time. That's to be expected.
Take a deep breath when it's over, I would assume. Y'all, all of you did, I'm sure. Like, man, this was way better than we could have ever anticipated.
Absolutely, and we as commanding officers, it's always a worry on our mind, what did I forget? What did I not think of?
We know the department is down. What is it, 150? Is that where we are?
We're down considerably, yes.
How are recruiting efforts going?
We got an academy class we began last week with 17. So we're making strides, the right strides in that direction.
50 Cent has posted that he's going to build a permanent G-Dome downtown, having a permanent structure, possibly with fencing around it. Captain Daly, that would be a huge benefit, a plus to enhancing the downtown and the nightlife down there, correct?
In my opinion, yeah, it would be.
For future weekends, people want to go this weekend to the Red River District, next weekend to the Red River District. Y'all all know security is our number one concern. We want to make sure we're safe. There was no doubt people felt like they were safe. How do you maintain that on the city's dime now? You're not on G-Unit's dime anymore.
We have a regiment of resources that are permanently assigned downtown, and the greater that expands, the more of the need, the more resources we can put in that direction. So we're confident that our residents can come out, visit the downtown area, go to the entertainment district, have a great time, and be safe.
Would you guys encourage the business owners down there possibly to get together and work to help with the security costs? I mean, would that be something that you guys would entertain? I'm bringing money to the table. You're like, oh, of course I would. Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll entertain any great suggestions that will be of benefit to our community. Absolutely.
Well, once again, congratulations on a successful event. We know everything overall was good news. And
yes.
As you say, we're looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. It's on the way, I'm sure.
Shreveport Police Chief Wayne Smith, Captain Janice Daly, in studio, Micah McCarty.
Back to the big stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Well, Bossier City Council can just driving the clown car in the middle of the ring. Member Councilman Brian Hammonds joining us coming up just after the local break, telling us what's going on in Bossier. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
So we know Bossier City Mayor Tommy Chandler, this whole charter commission has well, it's just been a nightmare. Mm-hmm. It's just been like you said a moment ago. It's a clown show.
Yeah.
In Bossier, which is usually not the case.
Running like a smooth train
for years. Mm-hmm. But apparently that's not the case anymore.
No.
Not only did the Bossier City Council vote not to disband the Charter Commission, they also voted not to put term limits on the ballot.
That's what I understand.
Brian Hammonds, go ahead.
Hang on, I just lost him.
Did you?
Aaron,
Okay.
could you show me that number again?
Okay.
Bossier City Councilman Brian Hammonds is on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Brian, good morning.
Good morning.
What on earth is going on?
Well, we just like excitement, I guess, in Bossier, or chaos.
Yeah. Now, there was some discussion about whether or not the council can disband the Charter Commission. I think Councilman David Montgomery said, the charter says or whatever that we shall not interfere. Is that language accurate?
Well, in some ways it does say that, but I'm of the opinion, well, if we're going to follow the charter for that, we need to follow the charter for everything.
and you've not been doing it on all fronts, right?
Yeah. No. Look, I'm not a lawyer, so that's one of the reasons. The questions were asked to our city attorney Charles Jacobs yesterday. The charter clearly states, if petitioners turn in a petition with 33% of the votes of the voters from a mayoral election, we do have a certain time period that, we must put this out for an election, put it out to the citizens. And, it's, in my eyes, it's kind of a double standard. In one way, we have to follow the charter and follow the law for this, but in the other side, we don't.
Yeah, because the charter says you shall put it out to the voters and you shall act within 30 days. We haven't done that, correct?
No, well, the 30 days, it was presented to us on July the 25th. So the 30 days in all actuality is up on August the 25th. But, the big key component there is our next council meeting is not until August the 27th. So we would be 2 days past that deadline. And
the council voted against putting it on the ballot during yesterday's meeting. Am I right?
That is correct. It was a 5-2 vote. Myself and Councilman Smith were the only yays for that.
What do they say when you ask them about, well, this is against what the charter says? What is their answer?
Well, there really isn't an answer, Aaron. The questions have been asked over and over, and in one light they say, we have term limits. Well, we don't have term limits. Yes, agreed, every 4 years, everybody does come up for re-election, and you can be voted out at any time. But when you have people that run unopposed and, it's just the same people over and over and over, that really is not term limits. That it's good enough for our state elected officials, for our legislators in Baton Rouge. It should be good enough for us.
We had a message on the message board. We're talking with Brian Hammonds, Bossier councilman. Said, can the council still meet the requirements of the charter to get the petition to a vote?
I do believe, that the one big factor in that, Mike, is in order to get it on a ballot, it has got to go to the State Bond Commission. They don't just meet every Friday or every Thursday. They have certain deadlines that they meet. This is when they meet throughout the year, and we are on a very, very tight time crunch in order to get that to them so they can review it, and then it can move on to the Secretary of State.
Brian, have you heard from constituents that are maybe upset and are going to remember this come Election Day? Mike,
yes, I have. I live in a district that I would probably say 90% of my constituents are 100% for term limits. You know, and I love that. I ran on term limits. My constituents want term limits. But, yes, I have. I've heard from, you know, I grew up in North Bossier, but I live in South Bossier now, and I still know a ton of people up there, and they call me all the time like, hey, we're for this. Mm-hmm. We want this.
Brian,
and, you know, I tell them, you got to get out and vote.
Brian Hammonds, this is going to ultimately lead to litigation. The Term Limits Coalition is going to sue Bossier City and the city council, which is going to cost us money that you could use to fill potholes, to fix swimming pools, to do all kinds of things with. How idiotic does that sound?
Well, Aaron, you know, you're exactly right. That is one point that I brought up yesterday is the litigation and the cost factor. You know, all of that money, we could be putting that money into our first responders who need pay raises more than, I mean, people just do not understand that these officers and firefighters need a pay raise so they can support their families. They don't have to work 20 to 30 hours a week, part-time jobs, just to make ends meet and put groceries on the tables.
Where do we go from here on the Charter Study Commission? I guess they keep meeting?
Well, they cannot meet without a quorum. So,
okay.
Which as you've seen in the past, that really doesn't matter. That's where it kind of turned into in what everybody is calling a circus. In Bossier. But right now, since the last meeting, they have not met. I don't, honestly, Aaron, I don't know. I don't know where the Charter Commission goes from here.
Do you anticipate the mayor will try again to disband it? I mean, or is he going to probably give up on that one?
Yeah, I will. I do think that he will try to disband it. I think you know, if I was him, I would be getting another opinion, reaching out to another attorney, getting an outside opinion on whether or not he has the legal right to do that, is what I would be doing. But, you know, I have to say that I was proud of our mayor yesterday. He stood up. He had a voice. He stood up for what was right. And he was 100% behind term limits.
But term limits is not the only thing that the commission has been working on. Has there been anything accomplished through the commission?
Oh, yeah, Mike. You know, I'm glad you asked that. Yes, they have worked tirelessly on a ton of other items that really need to be changed in the charter. And that is what is so disheartening is that, you know, they have done a lot of good. I've been to a couple of their meetings. I've watched them. I've talked to my appointee on the charter, and they have done a lot of good that now is probably not going to go anywhere.
Which is a shame.
Well, we will be in touch.
Yes,
I know this is not the end of this. Rev up the clown cars, huh?
Yeah, well, hopefully not. Hopefully we're sold out of popcorn and we're sending the animals back. So
I'm going to send you some cotton candy.
From here on out, it's going to be different.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Bossier City Councilman Brian Hammonds, Mike and McCarty, 1017 FM, 710keel.com.
Get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 Keel.
I'm telling you, at least 3 times a week, I get an email or a letter. I got a letter, a thick letter in the mail this week. Mm-hmm. Such and such company, we are informing you there's been a data breach.
Oh, no.
Your information, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. Have you heard the latest?
No.
Apparently, every Social Security number has now been hacked. Massive data breach.
How? By whom? Is it the Chinese?
It's a hacking group called USDOD, and they claim to have stolen 2.7 billion records earlier this year from National Public Data. Now, National Public Data provides personal information to like employers, law enforcement, private investigators that do background checks.
Sure.
So all your information is with this National Public Data.
Golly.
So these guys go, well, we'll just go there. And apparently got
goodness.
2.7 billion Social Security numbers with addresses.
We don't have that many Social Security holders, do we?
It says it includes sensitive identification information for everyone, all caps, in the U.S., UK, and Canada.
Wow.
Now, they've tried selling it, and some of the information may have leaked. So officials are saying, look, monitor your credit scores, monitor your reports.
If you're not looking at your bank accounts
manage
weekly,
your passwords.
Yeah, if you don't check in on your bank account weekly online and look at it and see, are there any crazy?
Oh, my gosh.
Then you're asking for trouble.
It's so easy now. I mean, right, which also makes it
sure
so vulnerable.
And I had one time an odd charge on my credit card for a penny in Houston. And I called my bank and I said, what is this about? And they said they sometimes try a card just for a tiny amount that you'll never notice. And then when they realize they've got it, then they can start draining the account.
Yeah.
And you caught it in time.
My mom, when she lived in California, she and a friend were hiking up on some trail up in the mountains. Well, they had left their purse in the car. And somebody broke in. Aaron, and this is, they had their checkbook. The person didn't steal the checkbook. This is, they went down into the bottom of the checkbook, stole a check, so they wouldn't even notice. Stole a check from the back of the checkbook.
Ooh wee!
Yeah.
Wow. So you don't even you don't even check those,
right? Yeah.
You just cancel your credit cards or whatever, and then, oh my goodness,
it's unbelievable.
Thieves are pretty thrifty these days.
So monitor, because this apparently has affected everyone.
Yeah.
And you think, well, they don't care about me. Well, you'd be surprised.
You would be. Big time.
Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault going to join us coming up after the local news. A plethora of topics, including Shreveport water. Mine's still not what I would call crystal clear.
Mine either.
Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710keel.com. .101.7 FM, 710 Keel, Mike and McCarty. On the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline this morning, Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault joining us. Mayor, first of all, good morning. Happy Thursday.
Good morning and happy Thursday to you.
Well, we had another huge fire at the Jolie Apartments. What's the status on the emergency declaration, the emergency orders?
Well, Jolie is under the control of a receiver or keeper, and that was appointed through the lender in a foreclosure proceeding. And so we have all the authority that we need without them being under the emergency order. So when I extended the emergency order, I did not include Jolie because we didn't need it, because we now have cooperation from the person in control of the apartments.
But apparently, are there still squatters there? Is that what caused? Do we know what caused the fire?
No, I don't. I don't know what caused the fire. I woke up to the report this morning.
What other complexes remain under an emergency order?
The other three, I think, are all the Amar Shreveport Holdings complexes.
Okay, and they are that owner is facing criminal blight charges. Am I accurate?
That's correct.
And that court hearing has been delayed, I believe, until next month, and you're moving forward aggressively. Okay.
It is in September, right.
Okay. What is the status of any demos at some of these complexes? I know it's a legal process. You got to move through all that. Are we going to see a wrecking ball at any of these anytime soon?
I'm not sure about that, because we're the lenders that have taken control of Oak Meadows and Jolie are foreclosing, and so we're hopeful to have new owners who will do something with those buildings and save the city literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in demolition charges. and there was an online auction of the Amar Shreveport properties that ended yesterday. So I'm planning to contact the auctioneer to see what the result is there to find out what our next step is.
So that was all three of them? You could buy all three, or could you piecemeal it?
There are four. There are four. No, I believe it was a package deal.
Wow. And so we don't know yet if anybody bid.
I don't. The online auction ended yesterday, and I have a tickler on my file to call the real estate company that was handling the auction this morning.
Ah, okay. Well, please follow up with us on that.
Sure.
You said three of the complexes were under emergency order. Explain for those of us that might have gone to Northwood, the emergency order, why it was needed, and what it does for the city.
Well, the main thing it does is because those are uninhabitable, we wanted to make sure that we were able to post, and that because we didn't have an owner or anyone in control of those apartments that was saying, please patrol and please get rid of anybody who's squatting in there. Because we didn't have that, I felt like the emergency order would give us that power, and that's why we put them under the emergency order. Where we have been dealing with either an owner, and really there are none of these that we're dealing with an owner, or a lender, a mortgage holder who was in the foreclosure process and had appointed a keeper or receiver for the apartments, that gave someone the power to ask us to do the things that we were doing under the emergency order.
With this auction that we're going to follow up on, if someone did come in and made a bid and bought all these, I would assume you, as a responsible mayor and leader of the city, would then, sit down with those folks and give them a little time to kind of map out a plan, and rather than go in and start demo. So you want to work with whoever is putting their cash up, huh?
Yeah, when we appropriated the money, when the council appropriated the money for these demolitions, it's like $800,000. So I would much prefer to use that money on something else. But we do need, they are eyesores, and we need to make sure that they are taken care of. So I'm hoping to be able to work with the lenders or the new owners to accomplish either a demolition of the units that need to be demolished, but also hopefully a restoration of the units that don't need to be demolished.
Mayor, I know you've been knee-deep in this for a while now. Do we need some new laws in place to deal with these out-of-state irresponsible owners? Could you have used help on that front that would have made this easier to deal with?
Well, all of these are entities that are, qualified to do business in the state. It's a very complicated issue, and we don't, I believe it would probably be unconstitutional for us to say, if you're out of state, you can't own real estate in the state of Louisiana. It would require a state law for sure, and I don't think it would be constitutional. So we have to deal with it as we deal with it.
Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault, can you hold with us through the break? I want to talk to you about Shreveport water.
Okay.
Mayor Tom Arsenault with Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. We'll be back right after the break.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Mayor, we know William Daniel recently addressed the city council saying, well, this issue with Shreveport water has been very difficult, even more difficult than imagined. What's the latest on our response to cloudy water and manganese?
It is the summer of manganese, and we have been daily trying to get on top of it. The biggest issue is the manganese keeps changing on us. The level of manganese keeps changing on us. I think it was at 0.9 yesterday, which is up. We're trying to get it under 0.5. And what they discovered is that the older way we were treating it was more successful with chlorine dioxide. And our chlorine dioxide units are very old because that's not how we were treating the water. So we authorized yesterday the acquisition of a rental chlorine dioxide apparatus to treat the water, and then we also authorized a $150,000 purchase of a unit. So hopefully we'll get those online as quickly as possible, and that will give us some additional assistance to solve this issue.
Well, apparently we need to get 50 Cent in here to get it, because he he gets stuff done.
Well, he does, and I'm afraid I'm just the lawyer, and Mr. Daniel is the engineer, and I have trust and confidence in Mr. Daniel to do the work. As you may have heard, he is quite frustrated with this because he's been the guy that's been able to solve problems all his life, and this one has been a real challenge, and we regret the continuing problem, but we're putting every resource we know into it to try and resolve.
This has been his Moby Dick, that's for sure.
How much will the rental of the unit cost, and how much is the purchase?
The rental is $10,000 a month, and the purchase is $150,000.
Wow! So you got a pile of gold buried somewhere, or we're going to move it from some? I know. We got a tight budget, huh?
Well, we have a tight budget. This is of course, coming out of the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, which itself is a tight budget, but we have a little bit more flexibility in that fund than we do in the general fund.
So we're planning on renting first?
Well, yeah, because it'll take a while to get the unit in here, and we don't want to wait till it was there. We have an immediate problem, so we needed an immediate solution.
I'm sure when you ran for mayor, I don't think anyone asked you a question of about what are you going to do about manganese? What do you know about manganese? And now, how much do you know about manganese, Mayor Arsenault?
Yeah.
Well, more than I wish I did, but. What I will say is that one of the great things about this job is that I get to learn about a lot of things that I didn't know I was going to get to learn about.
Fast
and quickly, yes.
What's the solution? What's the answer to people who say, "How come one neighborhood it's fine and one neighborhood it's brown today and tomorrow it's fine"? Is there any explanation for that?
The only explanation that we've come up with is that most of the areas where the most discoloration happens are areas of relatively low water usage. And so what I think has happened, and what we believe has happened, is that we have miles and miles of water pipes. And so we have miles and miles of water that was affected by the manganese, and some of it simply has not gone through the system. What we have been doing about that is flushing in various neighborhoods. So it is very important that people contact our customer service and let us know. And frankly, if they're not able to get through, and I understand that we've had a huge number of calls as we would expect about this and other issues. And the customer service people handle both of those, all of the issues with customer service. So they may want to. I'll just say you can email mayor@shreveportla.gov.
Mayor, we know this has been an ongoing issue. What are we doing? Are we implementing anything to deal with this for the long term?
The first thing we're trying to do is figure out what the issue was. We've had a very unusual weather pattern this year, and we think that may have something to do with it. If the manganese level had gone up and stayed up, then we would have thought, well, there's an incident that has occurred. But the other thing that's happening is it fluctuates. It fluctuates on a daily basis, and so that makes it a little bit more difficult to figure out what it is that's causing it, and if we can discover what's causing it, if it's an unusual event, that's one thing. If we don't think that it's due to any particular man-made activity, but we haven't foreclosed any possible theory as to how this occurred.
Are we reaching out to other municipalities that are having the same issue to see how they're dealing with it?
Oh, yes. I don't believe there's been any stone left unturned. We have a very diligent water and sewer staff, particularly the upper management, Mr. Daniel, Brandon Sneed. They're doing everything that they know to do. They have reached out to other communities to find out. I think Mr. Daniel mentioned that at the council this week, he mentioned that in some instances where you have smaller communities, it's easier to deal with. There are more effective ways to deal with it short term. But there's been an increase in manganese across North Louisiana. Basically, that's what he reported in terms of his discussions with the Louisiana Department of Health. One thing very important, that water is tested every day. If the Louisiana Department of Health believed that the water was unsafe to drink, they would certainly make us take some other actions and issue boil orders. And that has not occurred. So the water is safe to drink.
Is it true that manganese originates in Russia? That's
must be there or China.
Yeah.
One or the other. Now, it apparently is one of the most plentiful minerals on Earth. So it's around everywhere. It's just that we've had an increase in it in our lake, and we're not quite sure why.
Okay, one last thing. You're hearing it. You're seeing it. I'm paying you for nice, beautiful, clear water. That's not what I'm getting. So I want a rebate on my bill. Is that coming?
That's not coming.
I kind of knew that's what you were going to say.
No hesitation there.
Sorry.
I had to ask,
Well, well, anyway, I wish we had the funds to do that and a mechanism to figure out how to do it, but we don't.
Mayor, thank you so much. We appreciate you answering the tough questions.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
You bet.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Back with more on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. .101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. Our corporate engineer is still in the building. They're still redoing studios. Ours is finished pretty much. Mm-hmm. They've got TVs in here for us, which I don't understand why, but I like it.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Right.
I want to see, if there's some breaking something on, I want to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't figure these out. They've got these apps on them that I'm not familiar with.
They're all streaming. They're not.
If I want to watch local channels, I've got to watch WWL in New Orleans, and so we're trying to figure out if I want to get a local channel on here, and we can't figure it out because we're old.
Yeah, these aren't rabbit ear TVs.
Well, we're trying to figure that out. So I got Mike to go to the kitchen and get some aluminum foil.
I don't know why you're whispering. We're in a soundproof studio.
I don't want him to hear us. Maybe if he's listening, he won't hear. And we've put some aluminum on one of the TVs. When he walks in here,
he's going to lose it.
He's going to lose his nuggets.
I mean, this is all new equipment in here.
Oh.
All new furniture, all new microphones, all new equipment, computers. Everything is brand new in here. He even brought us these Swiffers.
Swiffer dusters, yeah.
And said, look, just kind of keep this stuff clean. He's very... He did a lot of work.
Oh, it's amazing.
I mean, and this guy's amazing.
He really is.
I hate we're going to lose him.
Yeah, I think
because he's going to be moving on to Saskatchewan. I don't know wherever we have more properties and working on other stations.
He lives in California, and he told me he was only in California 2 weekends last year.
Jeez.
They travel him from market to market to market to market. He's on the road all the time. Yeah. They treat him nice. I mean, he stays in the nicest hotels. He said, I eat whatever I want. They don't ever question anything. So they treat him right, but he's on the road. Well, and he travel. He's kind of a girl because you know what I asked him yesterday? Please don't tell him I talked about him. Please, nobody. I asked him.
Called him a girl.
He had a nice pair of sneaks on yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
And I said, those are really, and I hadn't seen them yet.
He's an Adidas guy.
Yeah. And I said, how many pair of shoes do you travel with? And he said, At least 12. What man do you know travels with 12 pair of shoes?
He's got to have a trunk just for shoes.
What man does that? That's a girly thing.
I don't know. I definitely only have 3 pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have more shoes than probably.
Than your wife?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say.
But okay, in her defense, she runs. You know,
oh, yeah. So she's got all kind of
she
varieties.
always buys these running. You know, she
Sure.
gets nice. It seems like always getting new ones, but.
Oh, we're going to have to edit this segment out because he's going to hurt us if he hears this.
But we're waiting on him to walk by and see this aluminum foil attached to this brand new streaming television.
Glued.
It's not how it works.
60-inch screens in here.
I say when he walks in, we're just like, oh, we thought you did that.
Yes.
That was, we could have sworn you did that.
Wasn't us.
We were so shocked that you did that. I was like, oh my gosh.
We got to take a break.
Oh, man.
101.7 FM, 710 Keel.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel.
I was supposed to go to this neighborhood safety meeting.
I thought you were there.
Gummit, I was supposed.
There was a
Honestly,
video, and it looked like you were there.
Really?
There's a guy that looks like you
It
from
was a
behind.
handsome devil.
Yeah, it was a handsome devil from behind.
My wife sent me a text yesterday. Doggone it! Honestly, I forgot.
You did? Oh,
I forgot.
It was at the library, wasn't it?
There was, yes, at the Broadmoor Library.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently somebody posted, I think it's on the Nextdoor app, that there was a prowler on Albert early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And the homeowner, I think he was trying to get, he was like banging on windows.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And the homeowner said, they were able to scare him off.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a crime prevention meeting last night at the Broadmoor Library. And I wanted to go to that.
Pretty good crowd showed up, I'm told. I saw one of the TV stations went and covered it, and it was a good piece. A lot of police department folks showed up. They were there giving tips. People were asking questions about what can we and cannot do.
Right.
And they told folks, several of the prevention things is number one, and we don't think about this. If you see something, let your neighbors know. Hey, look, I saw, this and this may have been suspicious. I'm not sure.
Well, but then
I know. Then you're in Karen.
Right. Or a racist pig.
Yes.
Or
they said that is not the case. You don't know what someone might be up to. You don't know. You're not harming them by telling your neighbors, keeping your neighbors up to speed. Plus, your neighbors may have cameras and may be able to see, further than your cameras see or whatever. And they also suggested if you don't have cameras, you really should check into them now because they really are very affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
easy to set up.
They really are. And if you don't have the aptitude to set them up, reach out to somebody in your neighborhood and
Get
say,
your
hey,
little 8-year-old grandson.
Right.
And he can set them up.
Can you help me put these up? And have one at the front of your house and possibly in your backyard, on the back patio somewhere, and have them where they're available. And the other thing they said was, if you don't already have, the motion detector lighting is a big help.
Yeah.
So if someone comes up too close to your house, the lights do turn on. And if they were up to no good, they're more than likely going to move on to the next house. But the big thing was reach out to your neighbors. Don't just get to know each other on National Night Out. Get to know them throughout the year and find out who they are, where they work, what their hours are, what you can do to help them, if somebody needs you to have a spare key or whatever in case there's a problem.
And that's invaluable, Aaron.
Oh.
In our section of our neighborhood on our block, I can tell you 3 houses down on either side, across the street, 3 or 4, usually farther than that, quite frankly. We know our neighbors.
Yes.
And
we
a lot of
don't
times
anymore.
we've exchanged phone numbers. I've got a widow that lives across the street. we constantly are checking on her.
Mm-hmm.
My next door neighbors are kids. They're great neighbors, but we know everybody.
Right, exactly. And that is really key. It was exciting for me to see so many residents show up. I mean, it was nice to see that, folks really came out. They want to listen. They want to take in the information the police give. And I'm thrilled that our police department does this, and they do. If you're in a neighborhood association and you want to do a similar type meeting, reach out to them, and they will have people there. They will make sure your neighborhood guys are there, and the higher-ups are there to kind of give you some tips on what you and your neighborhood can do, to fight crime, to prevent crime.
Yeah.
Because that's where it starts, is right there at the grassroots, what everybody's doing right in your neighborhood to keep the bad elements out. And that's how we start to fight this. Definitely.
National Night Out is a lot of fun and a great idea. But you know what? You don't have to wait for National Night Out.
Exactly.
Make an effort. Even just get together with your neighbors. Hey, who wants to? We're going to grill burgers. We're going to throw some hot dogs on the grill out here, and let's all just get together.
Bring them a pie, especially if you're in my neighborhood. Bring them a pie.
Well, no, okay, there you go. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
We got an email yesterday about GeekCon. Kicks off, technically, they've been having events all week. Ruben actually started Geeked Week with Opossum, Where Art Thou?
That's right. Started off Geeked Week at Bears. And that was fun. It was us and Littlefoot. He's a banjo player from Tucson. That was fun.
So we got an email yesterday, said there were some changes. Brett Iwan, he's the voice of Mickey Mouse. He's not going to be able to make it.
Oh, no.
But they've got Bill Farmer at last minute coming to GeekCon, who's the voice of Goofy.
Okay.
And has been the voice of Goofy since like the 80s. Hey, Goofy. He also has voiced Pluto as well. And he's been in movies. He's the voice of, he voiced Foghorn Leghorn, Sylvester, Yosemite.
Oh, wow.
I mean, in Space Jam. Yeah, so this guy's incredibly talented, Bill Farmer. So he's going to be there.
It's opening tomorrow, 5 o'clock.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Runs through Sunday at the convention center. Get your tickets now online, geekcon.com. Save some money now. Like Greg Adams told us yesterday, this is going to be the thing that Monday morning, folks are going to really say, oh, were you there? Did you see that? Did you?
So-and-so, right.
Yeah, it's going to be big time FOMO if you're not, don't at least attend. And if you want to come throughout the weekend, it's best to get your weekend pass this afternoon so that you have your wristband, and Saturday or Sunday, you don't have to wait in any line to get checked in. You can just come right through. And
I'm a huge Planet of the Apes fan. Ruben, do you remember? You're probably more familiar with the new iteration.
No, actually, I haven't seen any of the new ones. I've only seen the old ones.
See, I love those old ones.
Yeah, they're great.
The 5, there's just something magical about that makeup, the actors. Now, I'm not taking away from the technology, and Andy Serkis is amazing.
Oh yeah,
he was Gollum in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Okay,
and Caesar, I think, in the newer Planet of the Apes films.
Oh yeah, he does an amazing job.
And they've got Kevin Durand, who's going to be here at GeekCon. Ooh. He's in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which just came out.
Oh gosh, that's gonna be fun.
It's going to be pretty incredible.
Big crowd expected.
And they're doing. Have you heard this? I haven't heard this. A new Naked Gun movie.
I don't. I've heard that. I'm not going to pass any kind of judgment until I see it. You know what I mean?
Leslie Nielsen. I mean, come
how can you
on.
beat it?
Yeah,
it'd be like making a new airplane.
Yes.
I don't know. It'd just be, I don't know. But I'm not passing judgment until I see
I'm going to wait because one of my favorite series is the Pink Panther series.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Mm-hmm. Peter Sellers. And I love Steve Martin, but just no.
Right.
Just no.
Coming up at 8:40, we're going to talk with, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, Faith Jenkins. She hosts Killer Relationships on Oxygen. She's been hosted Divorce Court. She was Judge Faith. She's from Shreveport, folks. We get to chat with her coming up at 8:40. I'm so thrilled.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. Okay, I'm going to need your help.
Okay.
You've been doing this a whole lot longer than me. Mm-hmm. I know that.
It's all right.
I got something on my shoulder. It's driving me nuts. The process, okay, I took civics class in high school. The process for becoming the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. Now, first of all, the requirements aren't that strict. You have to be a natural-born citizen, okay? Mm-hmm. You have to be at least 35 years old and have lived in the country 14 years. That's it.
That's it.
You don't have to have served in Congress for 10 years. You know,
no
there's
military experience.
No military experience.
No college graduate.
Not even that.
Yep.
If you're at least 35, natural-born citizen, and have been here for 14 years, you can run for president.
Okay.
You can qualify to be president.
Yeah.
So say, and we know there's people that run every 4 years that you never hear of. You know, what was the guy that? The big environmental guy.
Ralph Nader?
Ralph Nader. Mm-hmm. Remember Ralph Nader?
Oh,
every time.
He's run a bunch, no doubt.
He would run every 4 years. Mm-hmm. There's a process, okay? The political parties, they have primaries,
sure.
Caucuses,
right,
where the delegates vote.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Republicans just have their national convention where you actually nominate officially your candidate.
Democrats starts Monday.
And Kamala has already been pretty much anointed.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt.
Okay, there's the key. Aaron, they're going to look back on this if our country is still here in 50 years and go, what? Harris has not received one delegate vote. She is the presidential nominee because a very, very select few in power were scared Biden was staying in and was going to get slaughtered by Trump. And they pushed him out.
Yes.
He did not want to leave. Their candidate, the sitting president of the United States, was pushed out by a very select few who are pulling the strings.
Yep.
And said, this is who is now going to run.
After all those votes in the primaries.
Biden already received all the delegate votes. Mm-hmm. Just waiting on the convention.
They're just going to transfer them. It is a legal conundrum. It really is.
How is that even legal?
And if the Republicans were doing the same,
oh, can you imagine?
Would folks be screaming bloody murder?
It just, when you stop and distance yourself for just a moment and go, wait, really?
Yeah.
Think about what is happening right in front of your eyes right now. You have a Democrat national candidate who's not received the first vote from a delegate.
Mm-hmm. And she'll be leading a big party all next week. I mean, they're going to have big time showbiz stuff happening next week. You can imagine all the stuff, all the folks that are going to come out of the woodwork for Kamala. It's going to be a big week for her.
And do you know what she actually stands for? Democrat voters, do you actually know what she wants to do? What her policies are going to be?
Have you studied it?
Well, first of all, it's hard. There's nothing on her website. There's nothing about economy. There's nothing about the Green New Deal. There's nothing about they want to take away your gasoline powered cars.
No platform is up at all?
Nothing.
Wow.
It's all, yay, look at this, look at us.
boy.
Oh, it's feely goody.
Kind of scary.
It's not kind of scary. It's very scary.
It really is. It really is.
I thought I was listening to something yesterday, and I got to thinking, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Go look at San Francisco. Look at California. Mm-hmm. What do you just told me?
Denny's.
Just now, Denny's.
Last location of Denny's in San Francisco shutting its doors because too many people were coming in and dining and dashing because nothing was being done about it. Cops wouldn't show up. Nobody pressed charges.
Because the cops they're not going to be prosecuted.
Right.
Why? So forget it.
We got lots of other fish to fry.
So you got major national businesses pulling out of Kamala's city.
Yeah, exactly.
And she wants to run the country. And you Democrats want her to run the country? I'm just,
oh, boy.
I got to thinking about that, and Aaron, it just scared the hell out of me.
Frustrating.
More interesting things going on in Bossier City. Bossier City Councilman Chris Smith going to be joining us talking about term limits and the future of the Charter Review Commission. That's next. 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
Stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Bossier City Councilman Chris Smith on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Chris, good morning. Thanks for talking with us.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
We're doing great. Friday Eve.
Got our popcorn out?
Yeah. We are ready. Chris, this has been just this side of phenomenal. Bossier City Mayor Tommy Chandler wants to disband the existing Charter Review Commission. Bossier Council voted 5-2 not to. They also voted not to put term limits on the ballot, even though the voters apparently seem to want term limits on the ballot. Where are we now? What say you, sir?
Yeah, so interesting times we're having right now as it comes to these issues. Charter Commission looks like it is going to go ahead and proceed with its work since the disbandment of that failed. So looks like we're going to move forward with the Charter Review Commission. I know they have a few members that have resigned from that committee. So they're going to have an issue. First issue they're going to have to tackle is getting new members, and hopefully they'll be able to get a quorum to be able to go ahead and finish their work since we voted to let that continue.
Now, they already voted on a couple of things. One was to move term limits forward to the council, but it's kind of stalled at the council. Does that committee have to revisit the term limit deal since there were several of them absent there? I don't understand what they're going to do with that now because as I understand it, they already voted on that.
Yeah, so they did, and that's been a bit of center of controversy too. Is was the vote taken appropriate? There are ethics complaints have been levied against certain members of the commission as well. So legal advice has been given that, hey, maybe any votes, if those ethics complaints are upheld, any votes that those people took may be invalidated, and term limits being one of them. So I personally think the Charter Commission should wait until the results of these ethics investigations to conclude and see what the results are to see if they need to nominate all new members. Who knows? They may need all 9 new members when this is all said and done. So I think they need to wait because anything they do is just rushing.
You say we need 9 new members. These members are appointed by mostly by city council members. Should there be a new process to assign Charter Review Commission members?
Absolutely. I think that unfortunately, the only way to do that is through the Charter Review Commission. We have to amend the current charter to do it. So it's a wacky world we live in, and the Charter Review Commission process, it's a good process. It's the city councilmen are supposed to be real hands off. We put our initial appointments up. We tell the commission what we're looking for, and then from there we let them do their work. Unfortunately, what we found ourselves in this particular commission is it got way too political, and it's now dysfunctional, and it's not getting anything done.
Well, it seems like there are some commission members that are just puppets for city council members.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's kind of the expectation, right? When you go into it, that you have a city council member appointing somebody, you have to assume that city council member is telling their appointment what they want and kind of helping them push a narrative. And so I like your idea that you mentioned earlier. Maybe there should be a different process. Maybe city council members should have no say in the charter process and let it be truly independent. I'd be okay with that because, like I said, this commission's got wildly political, and it needs to change.
Let me ask you this, just to be fair. Your appointee to the commission, did you have discussions with that person about term limits ahead of time?
Yeah, absolutely, I did, and I don't think that's any secret, and that's probably why I have been a target for much criticism and retribution from those that oppose term limits, because yes, I absolutely said that this is a goal of mine. I want to see term limits pushed through, and I hope that you will help usher that. And it has caused me a lot of grief from people that are opposed to term limits. So,
and you expect that other council members did the same with their appointees?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, where are we on term limits? Y'all voted it down again. You're going to get sued. You're going to cost the city of Bossier could be, huge piles of money to defend a lawsuit that you probably will lose. You got stuff you need to pay for in Bossier. Is this going to be a waste of tax dollars?
Not only a waste of tax dollars, but it's a waste of time, quite frankly. We have so much other things that we need to be focusing on. And Bossier City has been consumed with this idea of term limits for 2 years. And really longer if you go back to the campaigns of 2021. It was a key issue in the 2021 campaign. So we've been dealing with this issue for a long time. We've got to put it behind us. We got to put it in our rearview mirror, settle it one way or another. Yes, the council failed to pass it. In my humble opinion, I voted for it. In my opinion, we violated the charter by not passing it because the charter is very clear. I fully expect the Term Limits Coalition to file a writ of mandamus, which is a lawsuit mandating the city to act the way it should act. And I fully expect that the city will lose that and that we will have to send this to the bond commission and get it put on the ballot. Unfortunately, it's going to cost us money. It's going to cost us time. And think of the potholes that we could fill. Think of the things we could add to our parks. Think of pay raises that we could give to city employees with all this
police and
money.
Fire gear.
Right. I mean, there's just so much that we can do. And so whenever you have a lawsuit that's preventable and completely unnecessary and the city chooses to get into that, voters ought to remember that. And we have an election coming up in a couple months. And if we don't have term limits as a policy in Bossier City, I can almost guarantee you that the voters of Bossier City are going to enact their own term limits in March of 2025.
You're now within about 10 days, I believe, of that 30-day deadline to get the term limits issued to the ballot. Do you anticipate there being a special meeting between now and then? Has anybody talked about trying one more vote before you get sued?
No, I don't think it's going to happen. Look, I think that the majority of the council has accepted that at some point in time, term limits are going to come to Bossier City. I think that reality has been accepted. What we discovered Tuesday in a lot of the conversations is that those now opposing it again are opposing the language that these petitioners put in there. And I'd like to remind everybody.
Making it retroactive is what you're referring to, right?
Yes, making it retroactive. And, I'd like to remind everybody, again, this was a key component of the 2021 elections. We had several council members and an incumbent mayor lose based around the idea of term limits. We had 3 years to do term limits the city council's way. We could have done it our way. We chose not to. We chose to let the petitioners go out and do this themselves. And quite frankly, I think a majority of the council did not believe they'd actually collect enough signatures and get this far. And so this is the country we live in. That is the beauty of America. We're allowed to petition our government and have a say in how we want our government to be constructed. And so we deserve to, or the people deserve for us to put this on the ballot and let them have their say. And it's unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, whatever side of the aisle you fall on, that's how America is, and that's how Bossier City's charter is.
Well, it appears, Chris Smith, Bossier City Councilman, that what's happening is those who are opposing term limits are just doing whatever they can to stall and make sure they get at least 4 more years.
Qualifying for the March election is going to be in January of 2025. Mm-hmm. If the last date to be on the Bond Commission's agenda for December is in September. So if it can just be delayed a few more weeks, it misses the December deadline, and then we'll pick up the issue 4 years from then. So,
like you said,
100%.
Voters need to remember this in the upcoming election.
Yeah, there's going to be 7 council members and a mayor candidate coming to your door over the next couple of months asking for your vote in March of 2025. And I would encourage everybody, ask those candidates, where were you when the city was getting sued? What side of the vote were you on that? Where are you on term limits? And ask them the tough questions. Don't just say, yes, you're a great guy and I like you and I've known you my whole life, so I'm giving you my vote. Make them earn your vote.
Yeah.
I plan on going door to door and making sure that I earn every vote of every citizen that's going to vote for me.
Bossier City Councilman Chris Smith. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Coming up here in about 10 minutes, Faith Jenkins, and going into the 3rd season of her show, Killer Relationships on Oxygen. She's a Bird graduate.
Yeah, I love
She's
her.
going to join us here. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
He's going to unplug all our stuff now. Do you realize that? He's going to make
It worked.
It worked like a charm.
What the hell is that? We put a big piece of foil on one of our brand new TVs in here, these big screen TVs.
Oh, the corporate engineer pudding is here.
Trying to get their local channels. He came unglued.
And we said, we thought you put it up. He's going to unplug my mic at some
Can't
point.
repeat what else he said.
No, he can't.
If you're familiar with...
It doesn't seem like something a corporate engineer would do.
It really doesn't, yeah.
Not one of his caliber, especially.
No.
Killer Relationships on Oxygen. We've got Faith Jenkins going to join us coming up just after the break. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Well, I'm glad we finally got Faith Jenkins on the phone because Erin has been excited all morning.
You don't know.
I know. I do know. The host of Killer Relationships on Oxygen, Judge Faith Jenkins. Faith, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm a monster fan. I have been recording the show since you started it, so I'm going to be fangirling you. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, awesome. I love to hear that. You are a true crime fan.
Yes, I absolutely am. And the new season. First, let's give you a little background. You're a CE Bird graduate. I have 2 sons that are Bird graduates. Ryan Williams just reached out and said to tell you hello. He teaches at Bird now.
Wonderful.
And you're going to be honored next year in the Centennial Hall of Fame class of Bird High School. You're local, but you
that's great.
You made
Yes.
it big time. I'm excited for you. Tell us a little bit about how you moved from Shreveport and Bird High to what I consider a monster international celebrity.
Oh, well, I don't know about all that, but I am excited to come back for the centennial celebration next year. I'm glad that you brought that up because they just announced that. Born and raised in Shreveport, grew up there. I think what really changed my life the most and moved me into a new direction in being on stage in the media was winning the Miss Louisiana Tech University title when I was there in school and competing in Miss Louisiana. The first time I was on a national stage was Miss America. And after that, I just sort of knew that I was probably going to do something that combined my real passion for law and also media. But it didn't happen right away. I moved to New York and I worked for 8 years for a law firm and then in the Manhattan DA's office before I started doing television.
You did the Judge Faith show, divorce court. You've done a lot of things. I think you have settled into, I really am a big fan. This is your
She's
third.
not kidding.
Your third season. And when's the new episodes? When do they hit?
So this Saturday night, this is our third season. I appreciate your support throughout the years. This is our third season of Killer Relationship. This Saturday night, 8 p.m. on Oxygen. And this show is one that I'm really passionate about because I combined my experience in prosecuting crime and also handling domestic violence cases with my experience in family court, handling divorces and child custody and child visitation into this show, which really does explore people's relationships, something that we can all relate to because we all have relationships in one way or another. But the show really takes a turn because most of us know how to walk away in a somewhat healthy way when a relationship ends for whatever reason. But in these cases, people don't. And someone dies, and we want to know why. Mm-hmm. We want to know why a high school teacher kills. We want to know why a seemingly loving husband sets his wife up to be killed. We want to know the reasons, the secrets, the decisions, the choices, the consequences, why this happens in relationships that are supposed to be built on love and trust.
Faith Jenkins, where do you get these? I mean, obviously they're true stories, but how do you come across these stories of these true crimes?
We do a lot of research. There's an entire research team behind the show that works behind the scenes for months, researching cases and reaching out to family members. Something that I want listeners to know is that we don't do any cases where we don't have the blessings from the family. We want the person, the victim of the crime, we want their legacy to not just be their murder. We want their legacy to be how they lived their life. And so that's why you have so many interviews from family and friends, because they understand that very important aspect of the show, and they feel the same way. So they want to share their stories. They want to get the word out there, and they want them to be memorialized in a greater way that's just not about how they died, but also how they lived.
The Saturday night episode focuses, I believe, on a pregnant woman who is killed. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
And what state is this case from? Do you have all that in front of you? I'm sure you do.
Well, this story, I'm glad you asked that, because this is the only case, this series, that the crime does not take place in the U.S. It took place in Canada.
Ah, okay.
And when you watch the end of this first episode, you will really see the difference, I think, in the law and the way the law was applied in the end. And you can make a decision on whether you think justice was really served in the case. It's a real whodunit. I was watching the cases again last night, just ahead of, because when you have so many of them, I wanted to watch again and just get a sense of the stories, how we were unfolding the stories this season. And it's a lot of twists and turns. And again, I think that people will want to know why. And I think that we did a good job this season of answering the why from the perspective of at least from the perspective of the killer. The reason, and then there's this question of, what is the price you pay for taking someone's life, and how that price can be very different depending on where you live.
Faith Jenkins, how far back do your stories go? I remember there was There was a case in Shreveport that goes back to like 1980 where a doctor killed his wife with a sledgehammer. It was pretty a tremendous case. How far back do your stories go?
It just depends. We do have some cold cases that the investigators were able to solve. A lot of our cases are more recent. And so it just depends on the story. We want cases where they were solved and there's still evidence that we can look at, because we'd like to take the viewers through the different types of investigation that happen, whether it's DNA testing or phone records or tracking. You know, as the years have progressed, technology has allowed investigators to have a lot more tools that they can use now. And that's really fascinating to me, and I think to a lot of viewers. So we do tap into a lot more recent cases because of that, because of the tools that people are able to see, investigators use. And that's another really, I think, great part of the show is people are able to just be armchair investigators themselves and walk through how these cases are solved in the end.
Do you get back to Shreveport very often? You have family here you want to shout out this morning?
I do. I have my sisters, Mary and Nicole, are there. Nicole's actually driving my niece down to LSU in Baton Rouge today. She's starting college. And my mom is still there. And I do get back to Shreveport, especially now having my daughter who's 18 months old. I try to come back more often. So I live in Los Angeles, my husband and I, but I do try to come back more often now when you have a baby. My husband always says you can start moving back closer to home because of that family. But I want her to visit her cousins and her nieces and nephews and really get to know them as she grows up. So I have been coming home a lot more often since she was born last year.
Well, there's a lot of things happening in Shreveport. Curtis Jackson is making a lot of investment in the community. What do you miss most? What do you miss most about home?
My husband, when he visits, he's from D.C., but he's lived in L.A. for over 20 years. And he always says when he comes to Shreveport how nice the people are and how welcoming the people are. He absolutely loves it there. And I think I miss the Southern hospitality the most.
Okay.
And so we love visiting. And I remember he was asked to introduce 50 Cent at one of the press conferences, but he wasn't in Shreveport at the time. So I think that we'll probably be getting more involved in some of the things that he's doing there as well.
It's exciting. I can't thank you enough. Let's do this again soon, please.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Let us know when you come into town next time. We'd love to get you in studio with us.
That will be so fun. I definitely will do that.
Would love to do it. I'm a big fan. I really am. I'm not joking. I'm be watching Saturday night. Thank you, Faith.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Faith Jenkins, Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
Breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
So are you happy now?
I'm so, you don't understand.
That's so cool.
Snapped and Killer Relationships are probably my two favorite shows.
I bet my daughter knows her. My daughter watches all of those shows.
Oh, she knows Faith, I promise you. Now, I wasn't a big, and I didn't want to tell her this, I wasn't a big Judge Faith fan. I don't watch too many court shows, and I didn't watch Divorce Court. But Killer Relationships, I've been on board from the jump, and it literally is on my DVR to record anything at any time. I actually record any of them, even old ones, because I want to make sure I didn't miss one. So I have, every time I get home and they've run another one, I have it on my DVR ready to watch.
I came across a post one time that it's like major red flag. Check your girlfriend or the girl you're dating, her profile or her watch history.
Yeah.
And if it's all of these Bill Curtis and, Snapped and shows and killing your husband or
deadly women. Yeah.
Red flag. That's Micah.
I just have to ask you and Ruben, I guess. Did I come off weird? I was worried I would come off like, oh my God.
You said I'm a big fan about 16 times. that was
gosh.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's really tragic. But I really am. I mean, I'm
trying to think who I would just speak because, and you've done this as long as I have. We've been around, and I've been in country radio. I've been in rock radio, in top 40. And I'm not trying to drop names. I'm just trying to make a point. I've sat on the bus with Merle Haggard, drank beer before a concert. I had breakfast with Asleep at the Wheel, Ray Benson. Oh my gosh, what a talent.
We've had some really great
sat backstage and with Garth Brooks. I had dinner with Garth Brooks, me and him alone, eating barbecue.
Yep.
So I'm not really awestruck by celebrities.
Sure.
But if Drew Brees walked in the room, I would be like you with Faith Jenkins.
Yeah.
I think you're the greatest ever. Remember that time when you threw that pass to Marquise Colson? Yeah, that was awesome.
With GeekCon here and everything, I'm reminded of a time. I think it was my first year here when we were running GeekCon, and Matt was running this show back then.
Right.
Old Puff.
Our producer.
That's right. Yeah. He was the producer. And, every now and then when we had guests, I was running traffic down the hall. I would have to let guests in. Matt hit me up. He's like, hey, we have a guest coming in. I need you to stand by the door and make sure they get in okay. I'm figuring Alan Seabaugh, maybe the mayor.
Right.
Somebody like that, a regular. And Lou Ferrigno walks up to the door.
Oh, yes.
And you were fanboying?
Like, hey, Mr. Ferrigno, how's it going? Hey, wow. You're the Hulk.
Is he shorter than you might have thought?
He is a little shorter than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Most definitely. By the way, GeeksCon kicking off tomorrow. Get your tickets now.
Yes.
Geekcon.com.
Going to be a great one.
I'm going to be at the Robinson tonight, by the way.
Cool.
I am going. Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Looking forward to that. The screening of E.T. with Dee Wallace and Henry Thomas.
Wow.
From what I heard last, there are still a few tickets left in the single digits. So look that up and check that out.
Okay. Very cool.
101.7 FM 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.